All right, what we have here is an old Yamaha PSR-3 keyboard. For doing serious music, it's a toy, but I can't bring myself to throw anything away. A friend of mine had this and wanted to see what he could do with it. Something came up and he had to be somewhere else, so he took off and left it behind. For reasons that I will never grasp, he didn't put it in his storage shed. He left it out in the elements and it sat there for almost a year. And now I know he won't be back for it because he passed away suddenly last month. I miss you, brother. Rest well. Needless to say, we start by taking the screws out and removing the back. As you can see, this operation may disturb Her Highness Queen Hazel of the studio, but she needs to wake up so she can supervise this operation. Okay, the back is off, and the first thing we see is pine needles everywhere. My backyard, where he put this thing, is about the size of the average house's living room. In that tiny yard are 8 gigantic fir trees, all at least 30 feet tall. They drop needles and limbs so often that we've never been able to use the yard. It's too dangerous. You can see all the crap that's blown into this thing. Here are some of the needles and other stuff close up so you can tell just how infiltrated this instrument is. This won't be easy. All of this is the actual keyboard assembly. Having taken the back off, we can see that there is exactly one screw holding this into the rest of the case. All the rest of these holes are for the screws that hold the back on. While that's a nice bit of economy of material, it could make for a precarious situation when you're taking the instrument apart. One wrong move and the whole thing could come crashing out and smash to the floor. The first thing we notice is somebody has written the names of the notes with their solfeggio equivalents on the keys. Now, these upper 5 are cleaned off, but as you can see, everything is just incredibly dirty. So we're going to be doing some heavy-duty cleaning before we try to do anything else. And the most amazing part to me, see that little circuit board there? That's the instrument. That's it. That does everything. All this other stuff is purely so we can talk to that thing. Incidentally, check out my Les Paul. Isn't she pretty? I don't have a name for her yet. I'm still working on that. She's an Oscar Schmidt by Washburn, so I had to buy her. She has my name on her. And I haven't been sorry. She's a wonderful instrument. But right now we're looking at this poor little thing. I went on to Google and said, how do I remove magic marker from plastic? Believe it or not, the most common answer was use a dry erase marker. Go over the Sharpie with a dry erase and the solvents in the dry erase ink will dissolve the magic marker. I said, you have got to be kidding. As a former comedian once said, that's like saying if a guy throws a left hook at you, lean into it. But let's give it a try. We'll start with E, or me as it says on the key. I'm not trying to be too precise in my tracing of these letters. I just want to be sure they're completely covered. If I slop a little bit, it's dry erase. It'll wipe off. Let it sit for a bit and then wipe it off. And this was when I said, no way, you can't be serious. But it works. Now, these keys will never be pristine again. The ink has been on there too long. As you can see, we still have some faint ghosts of the letters there where the ink has permeated the plastic and become one with it. But this is a major improvement. These rubber strips are the part that does the actual work of making contact and telling the machine what noises to make. I've cleaned them thoroughly and now it's time to put them back in. As you can see, it's not easy to get them to stay in place, and there are 3 of them. This is going to take a little finesse. Fortunately, I have finesse. Or maybe it comes from Hazel. As you can see, she's over here supervising the project as usual. I don't know what I'd do without her wise guidance. The rubber thingies are all in place, but there's a thing that goes over them with the other contacts on it, so the project now is to put that on. Getting it aligned right is the biggest part of the task. Beyond that, it just snaps in and is pretty easy to work with. It also has this multi-wire plug that connects it to the sound processing stuff. We'll hook that up once we get this board in place. I'm always afraid something like this is going to break on me as I'm putting it in place. I have had that happen before. But this one went in without a hitch. This is exactly what it looked like when I took it apart. Well, except for the dirt and the pine needles. Let's hook up the wires. Unlike a lot of these kinds of cables, this one just has bare wires sticking out that can bend easily and refuse to go where you're trying to put them. That also has happened to me before. But look at that. This one goes in with no argument. I'm having a little trouble remembering how it hooks in. Oh, there it is, and voila. We are connected. It's all in place. Everything is as clean and dry as I can get it. So let's put it back together and see if it works. Time to put the back on. That's the easy part. It drops on like this, then put the screws in. I kept them in this box with the foam padding, and it worked very nicely for safekeeping. This box originally held the pickup that I put in my wife's bass, but when I saw how nice it was, I said, I think I'm going to keep that. It could come in handy. And it has. A place to keep all these little screws is always a welcome addition to my accumulated stuff. I'm going to be interested to see if this thing plays. If it does, I'll be very happy. But to my knowledge, during the time it's been on my property, nobody has tried it. So I guess that honor will fall to me. All right, I found a 9-volt power supply that should work. It has the right voltage and current, the right polarity. I don't know what else I can do. I have not tried this, so we're seeing it together. Here goes. Did anything happen? It would appear not. Nothing is happening. It's not even switching on. I tested the power supply, so I know it's good. I did a few more tests off screen and nothing worked. That means this thing's electronics are dead. There's only one thing I can do about that. Always recycle.